Hello everyone, and welcome back to Knights of Azure. Let's see, we are... Yeah, I think just this point we're just moving forward with the story. Yeah, last major story event that happened is a representative of the Curia. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Showed up and, everyone... Oh. Okay, and everyone's just really laying, it on thick, the whole, the saint and the knight and her protective knight, they can't / shouldn't be in love or whatever, So, admittedly, pretty chug on the plot train indeed. It's good to see you, Val. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, part of me almost didn't want... don't get me wrong, I still like this game, but part of me actually almost wanted to... Wait, hold on. Did I load the wrong save? Hold on, I loaded the wrong save file. Is there no way to... Oops. I am... That's embarrassing. There we go. That's better. There we go. That's better. Okay. Yeah, part of me almost wanted to be like, okay, I just finished Xenoverse 1. I kind of want to move on to Xenoverse 2 because I think Xenoverse... Oh man, it's the first game I've streamed as Edgelord since Skyrim that even when I wasn't streaming, I wanted to be playing the game just on my own downtime, Let me think. So part of me is like, I want to do more Xenoverse 2, especially since the poll that I did for what Edgelord's going to be next has probably gotten some of the most responses out of any poll I've ever done, so... I'm very, very excited to keep going with that. But I'm like, no, if I keep putting off Knights of Azure, then I might not want to finish it. And I don't like not finishing games. Like, I still feel a little bad that I just threw in the towel with, what's it called? Knights of the Old Republic. But that game just kept breaking. Like... Oh man, literally, it's like, okay, I literally cannot finish this quest because the controller's not, the option to control the device, it just didn't work. And well, I had to reload a previous, anyway. But yeah, I always try my best to let a game reach some form of conclusion on stream. To be fair, the gameplay or Knights of Azure is really bad. Yeah. I don't disagree. I stand by this game is an underrated gem, especially in terms of its characters. But and that's another reason why the sequel is so bloody disappointing, because it was an opportunity to take something that was mediocre but truly had some very special nuggets that just needed to be nurtured, and kept the bad gameplay and ruined the story. So, let's see. Because, yeah, just playing it, it's like, okay, I've got 4 weapon styles. The gun sucks. The daggers don't deal enough don't attack fast enough to, make up for their lack of damage. The hammer is probably the only one that's almost useful. But yeah, just for the most part, I'm like, just stick with the sword. It really is your best. Can I... If the game will let me... There we go. Just stick with the sword. And unfortunately, as I've noticed just throughout the course of the game, I'm just trying different orders of button input for the combos, and it's not really changing that much, sadly. Love the game. I think the best way to compare, my love for Knights of Azure, it's similar to my love of the God Eater franchise. It's not necessarily that I like playing God Eater. It's that I like the world God Eater inhabits. Yeah. The games themselves, I'm take it or leave it. But I like the stories and I like the world of both Knights of... Well, I like the story of the first Knight. I think you kind of get what I'm saying. Wrong button. And again, it is also kind of a shame that I have gotten to the point where I'm like, am I done yet? Because I had so much enthusiasm when I started. Because I was just so excited to be showing this game off to the world. Then again, the cornerstone of the channel has always been wanting to share things with people, you know, let people know about something maybe they weren't aware of. But, I mean, because hell, the first two games we did for the channel were Darksiders 1 and Beyond Good and Evil. Which, while both games have cult followings, I'd never heard of Beyond Good and Evil before I met Abby, and Abby had never heard of Darksiders before she met me. And neither... And while Darksiders has arguably been more... Well, maybe not successful per se, but... The fact that it's had 4 games means it's been luckier than Beyond Good and Evil. But, yeah, it was just the, hey, Abby, I want to show you a game I like. And Abby's like, hey, Luke, I want to show you a game that I like. So, that's always kind of been a cornerstone of what we wanted the channel to be. Now, obviously, I mean, hell, the fact that I played the Xenoverse games with Edgelord, played Skyrim with Edgelord, want to play Baldur's Gate 3 with Edgelord, I mean, that we're definitely not above playing more mainstream. I mean, hell, I did, you know, Paper Mario, which was, you know, it's a freaking Mario game. Let's see. I do get what you're saying, but please info dump more. I've seen you go off with you have passion to get out. Oh, no, I get ya. I kind of feel that's what I have going for it, since my jokes tend to be kind of hit and miss. I am just kind of an information sponge, and that's kind of what I bring to the table. As part of the group dynamic. That's why I was a little sad, and I'm not upset with Flays with this. Like, this is not me retroactively complaining about something Flays did years after the fact, but, like, years and years ago, when we did our Mega Man... Wait, that's not the event, was it? I saw, like, an event something. Anyway. But we did a April Fool's Day video where we each played the first Mega Man game, and every time we kind of played it like a drinking game. You die, you take it. Well, I mean, okay, we weren't drinking alcohol. We were drinking, you know, soda and water and such. The idea was like, who would have to throw in the towel and go pee first? Because again, none of us drink alcohol. But anyway, in order to make sure the video confined to 20 minutes, which was the format we were trying to stick with at the time, almost every bit of information that I contributed, which was trivia, got cut out for the sake of time, since Flays was mostly focusing on making sure the best joke stayed in the video. For the record, I'm not upset about that, but it did kind of really highlight I'm not the one who brings the humor for the most part. Okay. So yeah, it does say event, but then when I get closer, it just turns into the question mark. Yeah, and I'm... Okay, good. Good. Here we go. Yeah, I was worried for a second that maybe I'd have to figure there was something to do with that tree that I missed that was going to open up the next way forward, but no. Okay, I just had to go through the right door. You know, another reason I do think I still love Knights of Azure despite all of its hiccups is, and this is something I have talked about a little bit, but I do, like, just let's draw some attention to it again. I love the designs of just about everything in this game. Let's see. Your best moments of humor are random snark bits of character dialogue or dramatic funny voices. I appreciate that. I try. Especially since I had an asshole commenter on one of our Deltarune streams basically saying you need to kick. It's like, oh, the guy who's voicing the queen, the robot queen lady, he's like the most annoying voice actor I've heard. You should really, you know, stop having him on the channel because he's ruining any enjoyment they have. And it's like, you know what? If you don't like my voice, that's totally fine. I'm not saying that you're being unnecessarily cruel or I don't want you here. It's like, no, if you don't like my stuff, then please don't watch it. I don't want you to force you to watch something you're not enjoying, but, you know, it does make you question what you're doing, you know, when you get singled out that hard for a voice that you're genuinely doing just for the sake of trying to be funny, you know? Then again, you could make an argument that's the problem, is I'm trying to be funny. Real humor just kind of happens. But either way, point I'm getting at is I appreciate what you're saying. Then again, I got smeared in general for a lot of the voices I did during our normal Undertale run because everyone's like, the voices you're doing, that's not how I envision the character. I'm like, okay, but this is my first time playing through the game, and then sadly, that was when I was going through really bad sleep deprivation due to my hospital job. I mean, granted, I'm going through terrible sleep deprivation now due to my construction job, but that's neither here nor there. So I ended up sleeping through half of it. Not my proudest moment. Let's see. Not gonna honest, your style of gaming humor is mostly stuff that neurodivergence people like me would enjoy, especially the info dumping and trivia is lovely. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I believe that to be very much true. Oh right, it's the this is more continuation of go here, pick up supplies. Plot thread. I mean, granted, I'm also arguably not very good at the trivia dumping because I still feel really bad about the misinformation I gave on the Mass Effect. Specifically, I genuinely remember reading that Mila Kunis voiced Ashley in Mass Effect. Like, that was something, I swear to God, I remember reading kind of like a news article back in the day, like, you know, That 70 Shows and Family Guy star Mila Kunis, you know, featuring in Mass Effect. No. Mila Kunis had never had anything to do with Mass Effect. And Ashley was voiced by a very talented voice actor who I did not give proper credit for her great work throughout the course of my live stream. And I feel, of all three games, and I feel really bad about that. And I admit, sadly, I'm still not the best at 100% verifying some of my trivia, but then again, I kind of feel it's like, I'm not necessarily trying to share trivia, I'm more just like, hey, you want to hear a story that I heard? Is that good? No, and I should get better about that. But, yeah. You know, actually, kind of just playing through Knights of Azure again, Arnis actually did translate really well to the Warrior All-Stars game, since, you know, Warrior games really are just, you know, mindless hack and slash, beat everything, you know, just hit everything with a hammer type games. And since this one's kind of trying to do that while also being an RPG, and not doing very well at it, yeah, I think actually Arnis did translate, again, she translated really well to the Warriors games. Okay, I know that that's a legitimate fiend, but because you're already kind of a creep, you observing the little doll ones just is not something I really want to see. Call him out, Arnis. Call him out, Arnis. Please tell me it's not you.
人形が青い血に触れたということは、当然その持ち主にも邪妖化の危険があったということですよ。
Yes, they're a fiend on the fiddle.
邪妖化した人間と人形をセ
Because
ットで見たことは
the devil came to this island. He was looking for soul to steal, but he looked around. There was fiends everywhere, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go somewhere else where I'm a bit more, where the market's not a bit more saturated.
そういえばそうだ。教授の説ではそこんとこどうなってるの？
2つあります。1つは青い血の被害を知って人形が破棄された場合。
So you ever want to do with the privacy of your own home with consent is up to you, but that's the thing. It needs to be private. No kidding.
待ってよ。
And that's so I've been listening to Crit Crab, D&D Doge, and Crispy's Tavern for D&D RPG horror stories over the last couple years. And one of the things, I think it was Crispy who brought it up. It might have been one of the others, but I'm pretty sure it was Crispy. When he talked about a story about a couple who was being overly sexual with each other, both in and out of game, and their arguments like, what, we're both consenting, but it's like, hey, you two are consenting, but the people around you aren't consenting, and as soon as you go into public, any behavior like that requires everyone's present consent, and people, creeps just act like that's all that matters is their own. Anyway, the devil went down to Georgia. Fiend made me. Sorry, Val. That is definitely. Let's see. Okay, is that? I don't think that's the same thing as the toy soldier I have, though. Oh yeah, and I don't have any in my inventory, so I'm gonna buy that because I'm 90%. Oh, and I know I don't. Oh, I don't have any of these. Those are all fetishes, and I don't have any of them. Yes, please. Yes, I know I just fucked over my ability to level up, but this game is so. I looked up how you can get. Let's see. Holy crap! I started watching Crystal Towers last month and been binging their stuff over the past few days. Yeah, honestly, okay, D&D Doge is my favorite because he has such, a soft, calming voice, and the guy is just very kind and sweet. But I do think, as a whole, Crispy's probably my favorite because Crispy gives the best criticisms, covers the biggest range of topics, and since Crispy's ace, it's kind of nice to hear the perspective of an ace person on a lot of these, creepier shit, if you know what I mean. I mean, D&D Doge is gay, so it's also nice to hear, his perspective when, creeps in D&D Strike, but, yeah. Then again, the one downside with Doge is that he reads everything just in his normal voice. But one thing I really like about Crispy is anytime he has an incel story, I love Crispy's incel voice. It's really funny. Because, just anytime he reads a story where it's being told from the perspective of the incel, it's always really funny. Because he almost always will start normally, but then as it becomes more and more obvious this is an incel, he'll just slowly change the register of his voice into his female incel voice. That was a terrible impression of Crispy, I apologize. Plus, I do think, Crispy in particular, although Crit Crab has definitely helped give me some insights onto just my own shortcomings as a dungeon master, and I think I have improved quite a bit in that front. Because, the infamous airship story, while I was thankfully nowhere near that bad, it did make me realize I did enjoy throwing in cool DMPCs a little too often. So that taught me, I'm like, scale it back. Just scale it back. Oh, the one thing I will hate both Crit Crab and Crispy for is they put that story about, you know, this shitty academy that basically murdered the party when it found out 2 of the members were gay. It just... Tell him, Simon. I didn't even know Session 0 was a thing until I started watching Crispy and really needed... No, I had never heard of that concept either. And honestly, now I'm like, holy crap, that could have solved so many issues that I'd experienced over the year. Because like, I'm sad to say most of my D&D experience could qualify as an RPG horror story, and I've actually been debating on sending them to D&D Doge. Because since Doge is a smaller channel, I want to show some love to the guy by letting him be the one who reads it, but yeah. Just one of my absolute biggest and worst horror stories ever could have been solved if I sat the whole group down and gave them just kind of a, here's a rundown of the world and the expectation and etc. Because yeah, it is really sad to say my biggest D&D horror story, everyone is at fault in some way, shape, or form, albeit I bear the bulk of the responsibility. Except for maybe Abby and Sunshine, who joined at a later time. They were just kind of innocent bystanders, you know? Let's see, I'm currently making a D&D campaign. I'm using a lot of Crispy's advice and usually have them playing in the background while I work. So love it. Yeah, no, I've kind of done the same thing. Was like my biggest D&D horror story was when Jessie asked me to introduce her husband to D&D, but she's like, I need you to. She kind of gave me like, I've been trying to convince my husband to do this for so long, and thankfully it did actually work in terms of getting him into D&D, but let's just say a lot of expectations I was not really prepared to meet for one reason or another was put on me. Like, let's just say, and then, yeah, let's just say, you know, the rest doesn't matter. Let's just say things went very poorly, and I'm not the most happy with how any part of that campaign turned out. And I don't blame any one person. I mean, I blame myself the most, because I was the DM, but point I'm getting at is no one walked away from that campaign looking, you know, good. Alright. What are you guys? Yellow. Yes! Oh, yes. I can get... Oh, yes, 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 yes. Oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, Armored form Arnis. Awesome. I don't know. As a whole, I freely admit I'm not the biggest fan of the armored form, but at the same time, I'm just really happy that I've finally got the 4th form unlocked. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna just have another toy soldier just because the cats, I mean, they're not the most useful in the world, let's be honest. Because all they really do is dig up stuff, which, you know, can be useful, but when it feels like that's all they do, yeah, I think I'd much rather have another servant that can actually engage in combat. Not what I meant. Okay, and with this guy, it's either Yeah, okay, and with this guy, it's replace him with a bomb. See, all my RPG horror stories come from the same group. My first group who introduced me to tabletops, and I'm debating on sending those too. Yeah, no, God damn it. All of my stories of tabletop RPGs with my first D&D group all could qualify as an RPG horror story. It's just, for the most part, let's see, if you want to hear about them, I can message you later if you'd like. You know, sure, I'd love to, and I could send some of my stories to you as well. It's like, I mean, admittedly, part of the problem and part of the reason I've never sent in any of my RPG horror stories from my first group is because it was nothing grand or spectacular. It's just a bunch of little things that just added up, if you know what I mean. So it's one of those, it's like, I don't know if I could write... Well, then again, since Crispy does short stories at the beginning. Maybe. Because, like, the DM who entered... My very first DM... He's the one who normalized the idea. It's like, oh, the DM is supposed to have a DMPC who's kind of like a godlike trickster who comes in and out just to annoy the party because, well, the DM's gotta have fun too. And having a character like this is a good way to make sure the players toe the line of what the DM wants you to do. Or then also being like, he flat out stated, you're not allowed to bring paladins into my campaign, which, you know what? That in and of itself is not the problem, because I've seen DMs ban different classes for one reason or another, but his reasoning for banning them is the stupid part. Because it's like, I don't want no lawful good... I don't want any stuck-up lawful good pussies in my campaign. Which, I mean, again, to be fair, if he is running a more chaotic, you know, whatever campaign, yeah, it makes sense why you wouldn't want, you know, a more lawful good character in there. So that in and of itself isn't the problem. The problem is he would punish people who didn't act like chaos gremlins. So even though I was not playing a paladin, because he said no paladins, but didn't say no lawful good characters. Because, you know, for the most part, I like playing lawful good characters, or at the very least, chaotic good characters. So I had a miserable time out of it, because, like, I played a full-on knight. Because I was using, it was 3.5, so there was an actual knight class in 3.5. Well, yeah, I quickly grew to hate playing that character because everyone else was a chaos gremlin and always made fun of me. So I asked my DM if I could retire my knight and make a character that would get along with the party more. He said, no, I think I like the dynamic. It's like, I think the dynamic of everyone making fun of you is too funny. I don't want to let you change characters because the DM would lose some of his enjoyment out of it. Like, just, motherfucker. Or then, the one time that he, like, because I deluded myself into still thinking we were friends for the longest time. Because he was one of my only friends for the longest time. So when he tried running a D&D campaign for me and Abby and some friends, dude straight up encouraged PvP. Which, you know, if PvP is what everyone wants out of it, more power to ya. I have just very quickly grown to hate PvP in D&D for the most part, because unless... My rule on PvP is everyone has to be actively, enthusiastically wanting to partake in PvP. That's my stance on PvP in D&D. But I kind of hate taking the piss. Let's see. Okay, just from what I'm hearing, please send your stories. And these are really interesting. I can imagine they would be good to read. Okay. Yeah, I'll see about that. Because, yeah, I can't say this guy, because, like, probably the most innocent member of our group, I still hated playing with him. Like, make no mistake. But his biggest problem was he had his head planted so firmly up his ass that he couldn't wrap his head around things not going the way he initially thought. But at the same time, like, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not like he's actively or maliciously causing problems. It's just frustrating when he is like, well, I thought this. I'm like, based on what? Because, like, just big example here. And I'm sharing this because this is our, I mean, he was a terrible DM too, but that's neither here nor there. Then again, unlike the other guys, he actually planned for his campaigns and he finished them. Because our first DM, he'd always like, I want to finish. He had a campaign module he'd always use, and always complained that he never ever gets to finish this module. That's because he'd lose interest and stop running the campaign. So it's like, dude, you never finish it because you never commit to finishing it, you idiot. Anyway, but like, so in a campaign, this campaign wasn't run by the original DM, it was run by a different DM. And this was a DM who planned like nothing. I mean, okay, he planned, I want to have this to be the big boss fight of the session, but didn't plan anything else. I mean, to be fair, we did have some cool boss fights in concept. The problem is, because he didn't plan for anything, it was just a lot of rolling and waiting. And because it was an epic level campaign, we had to wait for like 30 minutes while our rogue calculated all of his damage. It was not fun. Because, like, that fight in particular, we fought a Tarask, but it was a super powerful one that recovered like 300 HP per turn. Which wasn't so bad when our rogue was dealing like 700 per round, but it wasn't fun given that everyone's round in combat lasted like, 15 minutes, except for, the guy who was tanking, because theirs was attack once, or then I got stuck as the healer. Just anyway, back to my original point. But in this campaign, I played a character. I basically played it was a 3rd edition class called the Favored Soul, which was basically kind of like a cleric class, but it functioned more like a sorcerer, and it was kind of like a chosen one class. And I picked it because eventually at higher levels they grew wings, and then at 20th level they actually became like a full-on avatar of their god. It sounded kind of fun. Well, the dumb player, he played a druid atheist, which, he played it really well. And honestly, the kind of antagonistic interactions the two had off each other worked really well. They were actually some of the few good parts of roleplay in that whole campaign. The thing is my player, the player in question, the idiot, when it got to the end of the campaign and I just kind of, my character expressed his absolute hatred, oh jeez, for this atheist character, he's like, what? But my character considered yours to be his best friend because he's the one that I could always talk to. I'm like, well, yeah, we always talked, but that's because the other players didn't roleplay for shit. And we talked, but it's like, just because we talked, it's more accurate to say we argued all the time. Like, our character's friendship was not healthy in any way, shape, or form. We were very toxic towards each other. But his whole thing was, but we talked a lot. You're the only one that, yada yada. And again, it's because he was kind of completely out of touch with reality. Now, I'm not saying that to, just piss on his character, like his personal character or anything like that. But it's why I feel for the most part I can't post any horror stories about him specifically, because I honestly just think he was too out of touch with reality to know any better, And he definitely was the least toxic member of the group, even if, ironically, as a person, he was the one I like spending the time with the least. And I think that might be because both of us might have been on the spectrum. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've never been formally diagnosed, but I think it's very likely I'm on there somewhere, and I'm pretty sure he was too. Anyway, and then the other two guys... Let's see, one of them... I was only ever in 2 campaigns with him, and his whole... So I only ever did play, 2 with this guy. His whole thing was basically telling me I'm dumb, and the things I want to do are dumb. So he could go fuck... So, yeah, fuck him, to say the very least. He was the guy in question that I was asking, can I change my characters to be someone who's less antagonistic? Because, like, for example, he played a fighter, and I was playing a knight, like I said. So they were characters that would, you know, clash as the main melee people of the campaign. And this guy was always flexing, because it's like, well, I have a great sword, so I deal more damage than you. But I'm like, yeah, that's because I'm the tank. I'm not here to deal damage. I'm here to absorb the damage. That's my shtick. It's very likely you are on the spectrum, too. We click together way too well, and I don't really have neurotypical friends. Okay. And let's see. So, and then... Yeah. Oh, and I'm not even going to... So, like, the character I was playing, in, like, that epic campaign I mentioned, I was also playing with this asshole. I'm not even gonna tell you. So, my character was... I got it out of the, book supplementary, The Sandstorm. So, my character, I decided, was going to dress very Middle Eastern themed. You know, turban, you know, desert robes and whatnot, because... Well, again, he was a desert dweller. Like, for those who are wondering, I was playing a species called a Bucus. They're like a race of... They're like a sub-race of goblinoids. But they have giant feet that act as kind of like snowshoes, but for sand, to let them move across, you know, sand easier. And they kind of have frills on their neck, kind of like lizards with frills, to help them regulate their temperature in hot climates. It's a species I actually still like a lot to this day. Well, when I described the clothing my character was wearing, again being very Middle Eastern themed, I am not going to repeat what he said. Let's just say slurs abound. Slurs abounded from this guy. It was yuck. And then, of course, he was every character. It didn't, like, whether it was his fighter from the first campaign I played him with, or his ranger in this campaign, it was always, I deal more damage than you, ergo I'm better than you. And then finally, the last guy who was part of my original D&D group. I mean, there were 2 others, but I only ever played with them once, so I don't really remember. Actually, there was one other guy. His crime was he just was stupid. He always played big dumb dwarfs and always just made incredibly stupid decisions based on being a big dumb dwarf, but he was never malicious about it. So that guy was okay. So, no horror stories about him. Any issues I had with him were out of game. But the last guy, he's the one who DM'd. He's the DM who never planned anything. He always played lesbians. Or even when he didn't, he always played horny characters. Because he himself was a man-whore. I mean, hell, he actually lived in Nevada, and he talked about how he's like, yeah, I've often looked into, you know, getting my male prostitute license, because I'm not knocking prostitutes. I want to be very clear. I'm just bringing that up to emphasize just how, in his mind, everything, and I do mean everything, was about sex. It was, in fact, my idiot roommate, I was trying to set up a campaign, like it was the first D&D campaign Abby ever did, and I was trying to set it up for her, and I was trying to be subtle and not let this guy know about it, because I didn't want... Actually, this was Blaze's first campaign, too, because I didn't want a creepy guy being near to, you know, young college girls. And stupid guy just said right in front of him, hey, about your D&D campaign. I'm like, no, you fucktard, you're not supposed to talk about... And it's like, hey, and he basically pressured me into inviting him into the campaign because I couldn't say no back then. But yeah, he always played creepy, horny characters. In fact, he's the reason I instituted a rule which I have since done away with in my D&D campaigns. You had to play, the rule was, told my players, you have to play the same gender you are in real life. Because I got tired of people fetishizing the opposite sex. Or, I got sick of him fetishizing lesbians. Now, I have since done away with that rule since I have started to realize, you know, gender's kind of bullshit. But I feel he was bad enough I can at least defend coming to this conclusion as, you know, a young 20-something. And like I said, I've done away with that rule completely. In fact, not only have I done away with that rule, I actually now try to be like, okay, I actually often will ask my players what's their character's sexuality and do they want, you know, romantic candidates, so I can actually write in characters that they can pursue romantically, you know? Yeah, I always do my best to make sure that... I mean, I do also make it clear that it's like... I mean, hell, I actually put a lot of thought into some of my characters' sexuality. Because, like, I know I had one character complain, it's like, hey, I told you I wanted romance options. Why can't I romance this character? And, like, I know you did, and I swear I will have romance options you can, but it's a crucial part of this one character that they're ace. So, I'm not trying to, you know, stop you. It's just, this one character, it's very important to who they are that they don't want that. Let's see, I have a chart for rolling gender, sex, sexuality, and romantic attraction. That's how little those things matter. It's more fun to roll them after the concept. I can agree with that. It's like, don't get me wrong, I atypically play straight characters because I am a cis straight guy. Albeit, I have been kind of finding more and more that... Uh-oh. Oh, I'm stunned. That even though I still identify as a man, I have been... you know, explore. Like I've always thought women have had, you know, better options when it comes to clothing and other things like that. So I have actually looked at some, anyway. Because, like, for example, Edgelord. I play I actually do take Edgelord to a local LARP part. And during this last Halloween, I invented a split personality for Edgelord, based on... So, I called them Lupa Lupin, based on the monster, the antagonist from Biomutant that kills the protagonist's family. So, the idea was that this personality deliberately chose that name because it's like, well, I want to kill Edgelord and take over Edgelord's body, so it chose that name. And the idea was that it was the Oracle cells that were injected into Edgelord in the God Eater world that developed a personality unto themselves and kind of... Anyway. So I thought, okay, Edgelord is non-binary, but Lupa Lupin specifically, or Lupa Lupin the Origami, I'm going to just say the full title to make sure that it's distinguished from the Lupa Lupin from Biomutant, was male. It would be kind of fun if there was another personality that in Edgelord's head that was female, to kind of be like Edgelord's shoulder angels in a sense. And now my headcanon is that the three are like unwilling roommates in Edgelord's brain now. So the idea for this third character came from a combination of, well, the automation that I played in Soul Calibur 6. So the idea is that... So, my idea for Edgelord, in a sense, is that Lupa Lupin lives in their right arm. Sorry, I know Edgelord's a they, but since I play them, I have a nasty tendency of referring to them with male pronouns, which I'm trying to stop, because Edgelord's not a he. But it's like, oh, Lupa Lupin lives in the Oracle cells in Edgelord's right arm, and since it's kind of been my headcanon in the LARP park that Edgelord's left arm is robotic, I'm like, oh, perfect, this automation personality can live in Edgelord's left arm. And, well, the idea for the character was based off a character from the LARP park that I really, really liked, who was a female knight. So it's like I could see Edgelord basically making this personality and this automation resemble this female knight. So I decided, yeah, this personality is female. So I've actually got, like, I actually bought a bunch of makeup and have actually looked at, you know, just trying to stop, you know, just just basically use makeup so I can, oh yeah, so real quick, speaking of knights, here's the armored form. Yeah, this is my least favorite form just because of how slow it is. But yeah, looking into ways to kind of present more female in park, you know. Got makeup, Abby did, like the one time I kind of tested out the character, you know, I did eyeliner and everything. I know the one downside is I don't like the way I look without a beard, so I don't know how much I'm going to keep leaning into that, at least in the LARP park. When I do drawings of the character, I'm going to draw them very female looking, but
The problem is expression. Everyone can wear skirts, makeup, jewelry, and paint their nails. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding indeed.
like, if anything, fashion is the prime example of, you know, it's almost the proof that, you know, gender is a construct of society. Because nothing about, you know, the organs you were born with actually dictate the type of clothes you can wear, you know? Outside of, hey, it's practical for men to have, or people with a penis to have something with a zipper in, because it's easy to, you know, go to the bathroom in, you know, besides stuff like that. But other than that, it's like, we only decided that men can't wear, like, flowing, you know, flowing dresses and whatnot, because society at one point said that's what women wear. Never mind the fact that it's like, there's formal attire for men that do technically have flowing, you know, like they're flowing robes or flowing skirts or whatever. And those always looked great. Like, the formal attire that the late Chadwick Boseman wore as Black Panther in, you know, just when he was being the king. I'm like, oh man, that formal attire looks so, like, I would love to wear that instead of just like, you know, a button-up shirt and tie. Because it just, it's pretty, just the way it flows. But I've always been too afraid to, you know, buy something like that to wear because I'm afraid of cultural appropriation. I mean, heck, we never got that far in, well, at least we never posted that far, but in Flashback, they had to go to a formal party, and I made sure that as much as Shamu hates wearing clothing in general, I made sure that the formal attire he wore was long and flowy, you know? Because that's just, it's pretty. It's what I like. Let's see. But yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I really don't like the armored form because most of the enemies in this game are really, really, really fast. So it's not the most useful in the world. I mean, especially if you're fighting, you know, the big boss monsters, which is atypically when you want to use your transformations, but you fight a big boss monster who is constantly zipping around the screen like Speedy Gonzales, then something that slow is absolutely not a viable choice in combat, you know? Okay. Event. Plus, I need to check my trade.
ジョーちゃんが海賊のお宝に執着するとはな。
ああ、気になってるさ。そんなまがまがしい宝石持ち込まれて、リュリーティスに何かあったら困るからね。
That is valid.
それは心配しなくていい。呪われるのは俺だけだ。
Okay, good, because we don't actually care about you.
自信たっぷりに。本当に大丈夫かな。
はあ。
You know, I am getting pretty close to the end of this. I am in the second to last chapter, and I mean, unfortunately, I don't know how long it's going to take me to get through these two. But I really should start thinking about what game I want to stream next. Because I was hoping that the remake of Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door would be out by now, so I could do that one for you guys next. But there is not a set release date for that one yet. So I suppose I could stream one of the other Paper Mario games, because I do know I want to stream all of the Paper Mario games for you guys except for Sticker Star, because I don't have a way to stream that one. Plus, I don't even own it. Plus, that's supposed to be the worst in the series. I don't know. I haven't played it. Or do I want to stream something else? Because we've been getting lots of game recommendations. Like, maybe I should... I know the problem is, like, we got a bunch of recommendations all at once. And some of them are like, those are games I can't handle because they're horror games. Oh, those are games that maybe Abby wanted to do. Or those are games I don't have. Because, like, we got a lot, and I mean a lot of DS recommendations, and I don't know how to work a computer to save my life, and Abby doesn't really have time to play around with the emulator, you know? I know it also doesn't help that since I can no longer stream off the GameCube or off the PlayStation 3, that also cuts into a lot of games I wanted to do for the channel. I'm just grateful that I was, at the very least, we were able to do custom robo before I lost the ability to record off the GameCube, because unlike this game where I'm like, oh, it's a hidden gem, and then I'm realizing, I'm like, yeah, it's a hidden gem, but it's frustrating. No. Custom robo for the GameCube, that is a true hidden gem game that not enough people got to play. And oh, man, I will admit, this is probably a little self-indulgent, I will actually watch our highlights video of when we played through Custom Robo just in my free time, because and some of the jokes we came up with during Custom Robo was just sorry, that game is that game is gold to me. Is it gameplay repetitive? Yeah, but because it's a combination of it's my childhood and it's comedy just so tickles my funny bone so well, you know? Custom Robo, like our Custom Robo playthrough, that was almost 10 years ago. Because I remember in the live stream, and this is in our highlights video, that Abby said it's like, Nameless Boys 2012! And then Flaze is like, Abby, it's 2015. And it's now 2024. Meaning, we streamed that game. Wow. Heck, actually, I think we started playing that game in 2014 and then went into 2020 or into 2015, which means that we actually started playing it in the game's 10th anniversary year. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that I did a lot of really cringy jokes because at the time, Team 4 Star had just uploaded their one-off abridged Attack on Titan episode back before I realized Attack on Titan is shit. And we noticed that Ernest kind of looked like the character Shotist from Attack on Titan. So I was seriously trying to, like, do... I don't know. I was trying to act like the character Shotist in character from there. And I just did a lot of really, really cringy jokes that just do not work. So I know, like, for the first, I don't know, maybe 10 or so episodes, give or take, I'm kind of an insufferable knobhead, so it is difficult to, like, well, then again, it's difficult to rewatch a lot of our old episodes in general, because, A, I was way more of a ignorant douchebag, because, again, I didn't know any better. I'm fairly certain I didn't make some of the kindest comments about the LGBTQ+. Well, not necessarily, I don't think I made anything truly hateful, but definitely made ignorant, out of touch comments that I do regret. Because again, being raised in such a conservative state, surrounded by, you know, people who are very like-minded on these topics, you don't really get the opportunity to see the other side of things. Which something I'm actually very grateful for with this channel, is it has let me get in touch with people who, you know, who have been on the receiving end of a lot of the crap that, you know, so it's allowed me to broaden my horizon in terms of just everything. But yeah. But at the same time, looking back, out of all the games we did back in our old format, you know, back when we still had Flays on board as our editor, so we could, you know, record, edit, and she could put the funny jokes in and whatnot, I think to this day, Custom Robo was probably my favorite game that we ever did. Mostly because it is one of my favorite games of all time, so obviously that's going to elevate it. But even putting aside my love for the game itself, there just was a lot of good experiences with that. Because I think in many ways, Doppelganger is kind of, I think, one of the things that I'm the most proud of that we did on the channel. I'll admit, I wasn't enjoying myself a shit ton while we were actually playing the game. Man, and I'm so sad that Abby and I, we have not had time to play Azure's newest game in such a long time, because that woman shows us so much kindness, and we like paying her back by calling attention to her hard work, but we just don't have time anymore. Actually, I know one other thing that's kind of... just realizing, since, you know, Abby and I, we did... Yeah, no, I'm just going through my head, thinking just all the games that we've played for this channel. Yeah, just Abby just doesn't have time for the channel anymore these days with school and work. Hell, I barely have time for the channel anymore. So, like, the reason I was able to stream yesterday is I requested yesterday off from work. I requested this whole weekend off from work because we had a big party tonight that I needed to get ready for. So it's like, I need Friday off so I can actually, you know, do stuff to get ready for the party, since, you know, when you work a job that's, you know, anywhere between 10 to 13 hours a day regularly, I mean, some of the guys I've worked with have said it's like, yeah, they've sometimes worked 36 hours straight. It's construction, for those who don't know what I'm doing now. And I hate it. I've been trying to get out of construction I've been trying to quit this job for about the last 4 months, but no one is willing to give me an interview, or I can't find a job that works with my schedule. Or I can't find a job with the schedule I want that'll pay the bills, you know? Anyway. But yeah, I requested it off yesterday, and even though it's like I needed yesterday to prepare for the party, I'm like, I need to set some time aside to stream, since there's a very high likelihood I won't be able to stream next weekend because of the job. Because right now we're working on a pipeline that runs under a major highway in my state. And, well, okay, let me rephrase that. The pipe itself doesn't necessarily run under the highway, but it does tie in to the water system under the highway, so we're going to have to shut down the highway just to dig it up, tie the pipe in, and then put it back in. It shouldn't be more than just like a day or two. But because they can only afford to shut the highway down on the weekend, they have to be like, okay, and they can only work on it at night on the weekend. It has to be, we kind of have to be like, okay, show up at 5 p.m., or not 5 p.m., 9 p.m. on Friday night, and just start digging. Like, you gotta have all the work done by Monday morning, 5 a.m., before major traffic resumes. So, and so I specifically, my department is the mechanical side of the construction, which means we're not the ones who are digging up the dirt, laying the pipe, or at least laying the pipe that gets buried and, you know, doing the asphalt. Our job is mostly we build the vaults that are always part of water lines, you know, the ones that can monitor the flow of the water. They're also the places, like, this is where we install, like, the hatches, so if someone needs to climb inside an empty pipe to do maintenance, etc. That's kind of what we do. So, there is a possibility I might not end up having to work those long hours in the weekend, because what we do doesn't strictly require, what's what I'm looking for? Doesn't strictly require us to be there while they're digging up the road. However, due to the fact that this project's deadline is like, the project needs to be done by next month, not tomorrow, not this coming Monday, but the Monday after that. And due to some really stupid planning, we have to take one of the pipes that we bolted up already out, so one of the welders can crawl into it. Once they've done that, we'll need to quickly bolt it back up so they can start pumping water through it. So there's a possibility we'll have to be there for that, just so, you know, they can start pumping water in as soon as they're done. I don't know. We'll see. I'm rambling, but yeah. There's a reason, like I said, there's a reason why I'm like, I want to make sure I get I did a stream yesterday, today, and I'm definitely doing a stream tomorrow because Edgelord's starting a new life. And I'm really looking forward to, well, mostly because I like playing the Xenoverse games. They're fun. And I'm really looking forward to some comedy that can come from, for lack of a better word, like, some out-of-body experiences, I guess, because, so, in Xenoverse 2, your character from the first game, shows up, which was why when I first played Xenoverse, I had something really funny, because, so, I played as a freezer race in both Xenoverse games when I just played the games casually, because, well, that was the race I liked being. And since one of my go-to, you know, nickname or go-to names that I use in video games is Winter, and, you know, Freeze's race, their names are usually based on something cold, I named both my characters Winter. You know, just, why not? It's my go-to name, I'm playing a freezer race, why not? So then when my old character showed up, I just had two characters walking around with the same name, and I'm going to deliberately do that again in Xenoverse 2, so it's like, wait, what? Why are there two of me? What the fuck? I'm just seeing some, you know, decent comedy potential that could come out of this. Because, I mean, heck, I got some decent comedy potential out of when I was playing Soul Calibur 6. you know, Edgelord refused to call the character Gro by his real name. He just kept calling him Edgy Boy, since Gro is kind of an Edgelord character. But, and, I mean, hell, I even gave Gro, you know, Edgelord's voice, and it's like, stop stealing my voice, you fuck. So yeah, like I said, I actually am seeing some decent comedy potential in Xenoverse 2, so I'm looking forward to that stream tomorrow. Which, by the way, the poll for Edgelord's race is still up. And like I said, I've gotten more people participating in that poll than I think I've ever had in any poll I've ever done, so that warms my heart quite a bit. But as of right now, the poll is sitting at a tie between a Namekian and a Frieza race. And again, if that doesn't get broken by the time I stream tomorrow, oh shit. I've discussed this with, like, for those who don't know, my usual way to resolve, you know, ties like that is I actually ask Abby not to vote when I do these things, just so she can be my tiebreaker. So, as of right now, the plan is, like she's already said, I'm like, okay, if no one else votes, just be playing Namekian, since I've never played a Namekian in Xenoverse. I've only ever done the Frieza race, and then obviously I played a Majin with Edgelord, so. But yeah, if anyone wants to, you know, vote if they want Edgelord to be a Saiyan, or if you do want me to be a Frieza race, you got, I don't know, maybe another 20 or so hours to vote on that. And I'm also still kind of hoping that I do get Namekian, because, I mean, Namekian was the race I was thinking of doing after Frieza race, you know, back when I played the game myself. Plus, as Abby pointed out, so like the joke with Edgelord in the LARP park is that they actually have all their powers and abilities from all the different lives that they've lived. And like I said, my headcanon is that Edgelord's left arm is robotic. And Abby's like, it'd be kind of funny. It's like, wait, Namekians can regenerate their limbs from nothing. Yeah? So why do you have a robot arm? Why don't you just regrow it? Because robot hands are again, it's just a funny joke in my brain. Is it something that ever gets brought up in the LARP park? No, so literally it's just a joke for me, but I mean, it's part of the reason I wanted to take them through Jump Force and Xenoverse, is because it's really funny to my brain that this complete loser has this well of, you know, destructive power at his fingertips, but while they're at the LARP park, they just want to hang out and bake cookies for their friends, you know? Which, by the way, that's... Oh my god! Which actually... Oh my god! I do actually, when I go to the LARP park, I always make sure I bring cookies to the actors every night. So, most of them don't even know my name. They're just like, oh hey, it's the Cookie Edgelord. But either way, despite all my complaints I have with my current form of employment, I have tomorrow. I've got more Xenoverse to look forward to, so I'm looking forward to that. Now, I was hoping, like I was thinking, okay, in my spare time, I was gonna grind out some outfits that I really wanted, because I want an outfit that's kind of gonna, you know, make, you know, Edgelord's old body look kind of cool when they show up in the second game. But then when I'm like, oh, the outfits I actually want to get for Edgelord are locked behind, you know, higher, you know, some of the higher difficulty levels that I'd have to grind out more in order to unlock. I'm like, okay, I'm probably just gonna settle for what I've got then, just for the sake of I don't really want to grind. It's like I already did lots of that off screen just to beat the game. And I like the first Xenoverse a lot. I prefer Xenoverse 2 because it was kind of funny. I actually loaded up my save file from the first Xenoverse game. Like, how far did I get? And actually, I was able to beat the game at like a much lower level than I was as Edgelord for some reason. I don't know if it's just because of the base stat line of the Frieza race is better than the Majin, or at least fits my playstyle better. I don't know. I couldn't say. But I actually did more, you know, I got more masters. I got more abilities as Edgelord than I did as myself. And I was like, oh yeah, that's because when I first played Xenoverse 2 was already out. And since everyone was kind of saying it's like Xenoverse 2 is basically just Xenoverse 1, but better, I played through Xenoverse 1 just to, you know, do the story, kind of get a fun feel for it, and then I immediately went on to play Xenoverse 2. So, and Xenoverse 2, I got everything that was available at the time. So, yeah, it was just kind of... Did I not actually have to do that fight? Yeah, you know, so it was just kind of interesting to go back and see just, you know, how little, oh fuck, I actually did on my own time in the first Xenoverse game compared to just everything I did in the second one. Oh! Frick! Okay, we're gonna return to the lobby just because we are running low on time. There we go. Okay, I had a feeling for some reason... Okay, I knew it. I forgot to set YouTube to just show me all the comments no matter what. Because I'm like, okay, I've said enough stuff that at this point I'm like, Val would normally comment on some of this. And I'm like, yep, I know it. It's because I forgot to change the settings. And YouTube decided to... So yeah, let me quickly read these. Victorian era men wore high heels, makeup, and wigs. Gender expression has always been changing. That's why there's no norms. It's all BS. Yeah, no, I can agree with that completely. And, of course, Attack on Titan is shit. It's written by a fascist and it's as fascist propaganda. Agreed. I mean, it's... Because, again, at the time of this video, Attack on Titan officially finished completely. And I just was like... I just kind of quickly wikied it because I was kind of curious, like, how did it end? It's like, I kind of hate the franchise now, but I did get obsessed with it hard when it first came out. And honestly, I'm like, I'm glad that I got out, you know, when I did, because, yeah, it sounds off, like, the way it ended sounds absolutely awful. But yeah. Sorry, Val. But yeah, again, sorry, Val. I am really bad at remembering to switch that over because I don't know why YouTube seems to target your comments every once in a while, because it's like we don't really have too many guidelines set into what people can post into chat for, you know, just various reasons. We kind of want to just, because for the most part, I'm like, I want people, again, for the most part, just kind of talk about whatever. And I mean, I know Abby and we've talked about maybe needing to set some guidelines because Abby has been harassed by, I'm not going to say their username just in case they still watch us, and I'm not trying to single anyone out. But Abby has gotten some harassment in the past from certain viewers I mean, but at the same time, there are other things. Like, I still want people to just be able to chat freely here, you know? Anyway. Are you still with me, Val, or did me not missing those 2 comments make you leave, saying, "Oh, Luke's being a dick and ignoring me again"? I'd completely understand if that did happen. Because, yeah. Because we had one person who used to watch us somewhat consistently kept demanding that Abby played certain, you know, porn games like House Party and whatnot. I mean, okay, I don't know if House Party is truly a porn game. All I know about it is that it's got nudity in it, which, as we've stated in many times, we don't play games that have nudity in it, or in the case of something like Mass Effect Andromeda where it does contain it. But it's very easy to avoid as long as you don't romance certain characters. And that's just because we don't want to deal with the YouTube algorithm getting pissy about, you know, us having that content on our channel, you know? Let's see. Yeah, I'm still here. Hey, just playing Pokemon. I need to think about fixing the comments. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Pokemon's good. Yeah, I do know after Xenoverse, I actually have 7 games that I'm thinking about wanting to take edgelord through, and I'm like, should I put all 7 on the next poll, or should I just do, you know, just pick 4? Because I want to take edgelord. Okay, I think we just have to take out the lion. I think that's all we have to do to move on. I know I want to take edgelord through Baldur's Gate 3 because that is such a, you know, gender, because, you know, you can be gender. It's very gender fluid, non-binary friendly, which, you know, a lot of our community, you know, is part of the, you know, that community as well. So I want to play games that, you know, represent, you know, that speak to our community. And since edgelord is non-binary, yeah, I want to take them through that. But I want to play through Baldur's Gate 3 a little on my own to make sure it's a game that I can, at the very least, beat the main story of. Because, as I've said many times, I don't like not finishing games for the channel for one reason or another. So that's why, for the most part, I don't play games blind anymore. Because I don't want to get super frustrated and then not finish something for you guys. Since, especially early in our career, there were so many games, because, like, very early in the career, like, for example, like, just going back to the very first one, Abby was playing Darksiders, which was a game I liked, and then I played Beyond Good and Evil, which was a game she liked. But as what happened with Darksiders and Darksiders Genesis, and we never finished it because Abby just couldn't stand playing the games. And a lot of our early games, we didn't finish a lot of early games, and I didn't like that. Because, like, Abby couldn't finish Darksiders, she couldn't finish Darksiders Genesis when we were playing it, even though that one was a cooperative game. We abandoned our Lego Hobbit playthrough, albeit that one had more to do, that one didn't have to do with the fact that the game was too hard or anything, but the problem so we had it on the PlayStation 3, and while we can't stream off the PlayStation 3 anymore with our current hardware, due to the fact that the PlayStation 3, you have to record it through your AV cables, not the HDMI cords. So because of that, we were having to play the Lego Hobbit through HDMI cords, and for whatever reason, just the graphics in Lego Hobbit made it nearly impossible to read any of the dialogue on screen, and we were just kind of hurting our eyes trying to play the game. So that's why we axed that one. I know I had to give up playing Donkey Kong 64 because when I found out, like, the final boss or whatever was going to involve Diddy's jetpack, I'm just like, I can't do it, guys. I'm sorry. Like, this game is already just so hard for me as it is. I couldn't handle the pressure of just trying to keep playing the game with all those jank controls. And then, like I said, I had to give up on Knights of the Old Republic because I kept getting game-breaking glitches, and it was frustrating me at that point. Especially since, and this is why I'm a wee bit I really want to take Edgelord through Baldur's Gate 3. But another thing is I was just kind of getting frustrated with Knights of the Old Republic because its gameplay is not the most in-depth, if you know what I mean. Because it's pseudo turn-based, well, I think the best thing, it's kind of like, it's a clunkier version of a Xenoblade game in that it's almost turn-based while still being able to freely run around. But because there's just so, the restrictions on when you can act are so harsh, not being able to succeed and continue, I'm like, I don't feel like it's my fault that I'm getting stuck and I'm not able to continue, you know? So it's not a matter of getting good. It's like, literally, it's the game mechanics are old and clunky, and it's fighting me. I mean, heck, it's one of the reasons why I don't recommend Tales of Symphonia to anybody, unless they grew up playing older, clunkier games, despite it being my favorite game of all time, and my humble opinion is actually a really good game with a really good story, because, man, if you're not good with that sort of thing, it's just going to frustrate you, and it's going to, that's kind of hot, it's going to stonewall you. And that's just kind of how I felt. Anyway, she's blue, so everything that can create a field. Oh, it likes the way Arnis looks. That's adorable. All right. Okay, I'm actually gonna put her on the A team. Since, yeah, that'll still let me use my demon form, and I feel that her abilities will be more useful than the cat just digging up items that I'm probably not going to actually need. Okay, I think I've got time for one more night excursion, because I do need to wake Abby up in about 20 minutes. So we can, because I promised Abby that I would take her out to breakfast today before our big, because, yeah, big, let's see, I just realized Knights of Azure and how it's structured reminds me a lot of Persona 3, especially planning phase. Yeah, I could see that. I will say as a whole, well, okay, the only reason I can get through Knights of Azure and I couldn't get through Persona 3 is Knights of Azure is shorter at the very least, you know? But let's be honest, Persona 3, that game is arguably a masterpiece, while this game had seeds of greatness. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't really like Persona 3 very much. I appreciate Persona 3, because if it wasn't for Persona 3, we might not have ever gotten Persona 4. Which, well, don't get me wrong, Persona 4 is not strictly a game I like playing. I love the characters in the story so much. I mean, Kanji from Persona 3, or Persona 4, I think was the first character I ever cosplayed, and quite frankly, I usually, every year we go to an anime convention, I usually still cosplay Kanji. I mean, that's partially because since Kanji actually uses a chair as a weapon in the game, I'm able to carry around a folding chair around the con, so I have something I can sit on. But even still, I do genuinely like kanji that much.
Persona 3 is so depressing and really drags you so much.
I mean, yeah, that's the reason why I like out of Personas 3, 4, and 5, you know, the 3 games that really, because like I've never played Persona 1 and 2, but everything I've heard about them is that they're very different than what Persona would eventually become. They're more they're a lot closer to the Shin Megami Tensei games than what the Persona games would come to be known as, you know? But yeah, out of the 3, I don't really like playing Persona 3 that much because, like, Persona 4, its themes are, I feel like the themes are coming to terms with who you really are and coming to accept yourself. Persona 5, I struggle to put the themes into words in a sense, but it is, you know, it's a lot about confronting the demons of society. Whereas Persona 3 to me, it's just a game about nihilism, the inevitability of death. And while yes, it does ultimately, the message is the overcoming certain destruction, its ending is still fuck-ton depressing. And like I said, it still as a whole is just about death as an inevitability of our existence. And that's not always a fun thing to be constantly reminded of. Because, like, what was that name? That game that we played with Flav, Gris, I think that's what it was called? Like, Flav said that it's theorized that Gris is about dealing with trauma, like, potentially, like, dealing with the loss of a loved one. And while, yeah, it's definitely way more surreal. Okay, actually, if I remember correctly, I think I have to have these stone statues, I have to come back with the Servan in order to open that. But yeah, Gris, at the end of the day, that's more about overcoming loss, rather than just necessarily being about loss.
Persona 5 has too much edge for me, and it's also absolutely horrible essay plot using such an event as a new plot driven.
Yeah, no, I was very put off by Persona 5 just because of that opening chapter. I mean, yes, I know the opening chapter is not... I just feel it went too hard at the very beginning. Like, when I say too hard, it went too uncomfortable at the start of the game. And I can't agree that I don't feel it's addressed enough on the side of the women anyway, you know? It also just does make me sad that, like, Persona 5 is the one that got representation in Smash Brothers. Everyone knows, like, it's just, I mean, I get it, Persona 5 was the newest one, and it's kind of the same way Fire Emblem Fates became, like, the biggest Fire Emblem game, was because it's like, it was the one that most people played after people really started taking notice of the Fire Emblem franchise. But it makes me sad, because I'm like, I'm sorry, the cast of Persona 4, like, you from Persona 4 should have been in Smash Bros, not Joker. Because, well, I know the protagonists in, you know, Persona games are intentionally bland for self-insertion. I liked his design better. I think Persona 4 is a masterpiece because it touches on dark issues, but it knows how to but the characters are peppy enough that it knows how to balance these issues in a way that always makes you feel good by the end of it. It's so bad so the Persona 5 anime had to change it to the teacher just using physical assault instead of essay because... Yeah, no, I agree. It didn't need to go that far because the level of physical abuse that he was subjecting the students to, that's enough. That is more than enough, especially since his delusion or whatever, it dealt with him viewing himself as like the absolute king of the school, you know? Or am I thinking of a different, because I don't know. The sexual assault stuff, that... Oh, wait, yeah, no. It would be that. Because, yeah, if there was more in... I think my other hang-up with Persona 5 is too many of the romance options were adult women while you were an underage student. And don't get me wrong, like, the doctor in particular, I thought, like, she really, really appealed to me. You know, both romantically and sexually. I'm like, I can't romance that. That's creepy.
The protagonists do get personalities on an anime. Yu has the best personality of all three by being a weirdo who's just passionate about who's weird.
And I mean, and I'm also biased towards you since he is voiced by Johnny Young Bosch. And while I flip-flop on who my favorite voice actor is, Johnny Young Bosch has always been one of my favorites because dude was Adam in Power Rangers. He has been a part of the media I consumed since I was almost a baby. So if Johnny Young Bosch voices a character, I'm usually going to like them more because of how much I like Johnny Young Bosch. The one exception is the main character from Tales of Symphonia 2, because, guys, why did you direct Johnny to use that voice? You made him so fucking annoying. Then again, Tales of Symphonia 2 is just an abomination, so let's just pretend it doesn't exist. Yeah, Johnny Young Bosch had a much better run in the Tales series in Tales of the Abyss. Yes, he wasn't the main character, but he played the better character.
The Adachi was also voiced by...
Oh yeah, that's right, he was voiced by Johnny Young Bosch. And he did a good job with Adachi. Actually, in some ways, I feel like the voice he did in Tales of Symphonia 2 was trying to emulate his Adachi voice, but kind of completely missed the point of what the Adachi voice was.
Let's see, also voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, so it's hilarious that the anime with you and Adachi.
Yeah, it's kind of like in Beast Wars, Rat Trap and Dinobot are always... Rat Trap, Dinobot, Silverbolt, and Waspinator. They are all voiced by Scott McNeil. And it's really funny because Rat Trap and Dinobot are always at each other's throats. So a lot of people have memed. It's like, I mean, heck, Dinobot and Waspinator occasionally had some one-on-one bickering. And two, it's like, Beast Wars. It can be summed up as Scott McNeil argues with himself. Yeah, because it's really funny to know that the most sad scene in all of Beast Wars is Scott McNeil saying goodbye to himself in a ulterior. Oh. Ooh, I like that. Oh. Well, if by give heart to the Night Lord, she means stabs herself through the heart into his heart, then technically that's true. By the way, that is some good... I like... That's some good art. Oh, are you gonna betray us? Yeah, you testify, girl. What the fuck you doing? Wait, so you're trying to protect the saint by kidnapping her against her will. Can we make an episode of What the fuck? How can you claim to be a holy knight and call us the half? There is no way you're human if you can become a centaur, which, by the way, that is a fucking good design. And it's not just because I like centaur designs in general, but that is a great design. Because, like, just armored centaurs will never not be fucking cool looking. You know, I don't mention this enough. That's partially because I have to keep the volume turned down to make sure it doesn't get picked up on my mic. But the music in this game is great. Actually, I do think it's kind of funny. So this was something that Flaze and I would often disagree on. Like, we both kind of had the 3 points of gaming that are most important is gameplay, story, and characters. I've often been of the opinion that gameplay is my least favorite aspect, or is the aspect I care about the least, because if the story and characters are good, I can usually soldier through it. And while, for the most part, I do stand by that, I think this, to me, is definitely the game that kind of puts that to the test and kind of makes me concede that I think Flaze was probably right. Because the story and characters are good. Well, at least, okay. The characters are good, the story's meh. But I have to admit, I'm like, I really could use better gameplay to keep me invested, you know?
Let's see. Okay, it's very clever that Arnis is Japanese. Keep saying however you say that while talking about movies, because that word also means girlfriend, as a romantic girlfriend.
Oh, okay. I like that. Yeah, I'm kind of glad they didn't dub this into English then, because we don't have like a little subtle thing like that, you know? Actually, speaking of things that you call your significant other, I really want to kill so many of my coworkers, like one in particular, because he has been dating the same girl for like 8 years, and they got married this last August. But rather than he never referred to her as his girlfriend or his wife now, or his fiance or whatever. He always just says, my lady. And yes, I know you could say, well, that's a very chivalrous thing, you know, to call a woman it's like, hello, my lady, or whatever. But I don't know. To me, just again, based on the overwhelming misogyny that construction workers... Oh, no. Where is it going to drop me? Like, where's your health? Is this going to be a complete reset of the fight? Ah, it is. Shoot. Okay, I'm unfortunately out of time. But it just kind of but that sort of thing does bug me, because just hearing about it, it's like you're not viewing her as a person or a partner, you're viewing her as your property. I know that's probably not what he means, but I think it's just with everything else, that's how it comes across to me, you know? Yep, sorry. We went from you saying how clever it was of Arnis's use of grammar to me complaining about... So, yeah, my apologies. Nice. Oh, hold on. Well, she is... No, I'd rather have the status recovery. Wow. Neckbeards have ruined the phrase. No, I agree. I agree completely. Because I know plenty of neckbeards and like tabletops who try to use tabletops as, you know, like ways to white knight for the lady. Because it's like, oh, if I can get a girl to go for me in D&D, that'll translate to a real world relationship, right? Alright, let me just grab a quest real quick, just so I have it set up for... Oh, wait. Is my belt back? Okay. Yeah, sorry. Let me just quickly do all these, and then I will have to go. Because I need to wake Abby up pretty quickly. Okay. I wonder... I'm going to call it. I think if I am able to just, you know, soldier through some of the boss fights without constantly getting stuck, I'm going to predict that I might only have 2, maybe 3 more streams of Knights of Azure, because I really think we're almost done. Because I really think, because if I remember correctly, the last chapter is very straightforward, and I'm pretty sure fighting her is the end of chapter 6. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. So I do think we're getting close to the end. So I'm going to need to start thinking about what game I should do next. Yeah, I'm going to go through my games and probably send a poll out to you guys, since, like I said, Paper Mario, I'm not ready. The remake of Paper Mario is not ready. But yeah, if you want to join our Discord, that's the best way to stay in contact with us. That's where I post a lot of, you know, our polls. We post notifications we're streaming, and then that's just the easiest way for me to communicate. We've got a Twitter in the description too. I don't use that one a ton. It's mostly just for also posting polls and the links to the video. But yeah, not sure when, but I'll see you then. Have a good rest of your day, guys.